I'm going to have us look at one application. This is on the back of your notes, and this is a graph that illustrates break-even points. And you won't have to graph a break-even point problem in this assignment, but you will have to analyze a graph that shows break-even points. So I thought we would go through this process. So we have a story here about a service club that's selling copies of holiday cookbooks. And in green, I have underlined and color-coded it so that you can see the costs. So X is going to be our number of cookbooks, Y is going to be our amount of money, and our cost equation that I've got highlighted in green is going to be Y equals, and then it says that each book, so each is an indication of multiplying. So since it's each book, it's $2, and then your number of cookbooks is X. So that'd be $2 for every X, or 2X. And then they have a charge of $200. So plus 200. That would be your cost equation. As we continue to read, it says the cookbooks will sell for $6 each. So I color-coded that in blue for us. That's going to be our income equation. And so the income equation is Y equals, and again, your X represents your number of cookbooks. It says that it was $6 each. So again, you see that word each, meaning multiply. So 6 for every cookbook, 6X. And that is the income equation. And they want to know how many cookbooks must the members sell before they make a profit. Now, I went ahead and set up some things on the graph for you. So I know you'll be needing to copy some of these things down. You should always give your graph a title. So I called mine the cookbook sale. You should label your x-axis. And so I called mine number of cookbooks, and that goes with what X was defined to be. And then you should label your y-axis. And so I called the y the amount of money, and that's what I labeled my y-axis as. You also are going to need to set up a scale. So I made each of the grid bars equal to 20, but I didn't really have room to put 20, 40, 60. So I put it on 20, and then I have 40, but I just didn't write it. And then my next line would be 60. So I just labeled every other line. And I did use the same scale for both the X and the Y. So you'll need to get your graph scale set up. And once you have that completed, then it asks you to graph the two equations. So I'll start with my first equation, which was the cost. And that graph starts at 200. So 200 on my graph is actually right here. It's in between the 180 and the 220. And my B is 200, and my slope M is 2. I'm going to go 2 over 1. So I can go up 2 squares and right 1 square from my starting point. I can do that type of graphing whenever I'm using the same scale for the X and the Y. And since I went by 20s for both the X and the Y, I can use my slope and my y-intercept. There we go. And that's my cost equation. Then my second equation, the income equation, That was y equals 6x. So that line starts at 0, 0. So right here in the corner at 0, 0. And it has a slope of 6. So the b was a 0 and the slope was a 6. And so I'll go up 6 squares and right 1 square. And I want to keep doing that. So up 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right 1. And I want to keep doing that until I see that I'm crossing my cost equation. So up 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. The two equations intersect. And that is what we're going to call the break-even point. So this break-even point is where the cost would equal the income. That's what a break-even does. The cost equals the income. And so no money is made, but no money is lost. And looking at our graph, and I'm going to tell you that I actually knew it was supposed to happen here. So I worked to make that happen. My X value is in between 40 and 60, and it's right in the middle. So that's going to be at 50 for my number of cookbooks. And then it's on the y-axis at 300. So my break-even point is 50 and 300. And then we are going to interpret what that means. And this is what you're going to need to be able to do for your homework is the interpretation. So the 50 represents the X, which is the number of cookbooks. So they need to sell 50 cookbooks to break even with $300. Your Y represented the amount of money. So even though we had you graph this problem on your notes, you won't have to draw this actual graph when you do your assignment, but you will need to be able to interpret what happens at that break-even point. So these notes go with homework 8. Good luck to you as you do your homework.